The highlight of this week's chapter is definitely this scene with Carrot. Because normally when Luffy comes up with a plan that he wants to do something, it turns out to be very crazy and can be extremely dangerous. It's kind of refreshing seeing a character actually excited and happy, like seeing Carrot's eyes sparkle when Luffy's about to do something very dangerous. I just like something like that. I don't know, that was definitely the highlight of the chapter for me personally. Can we talk about how the artwork of this chapter was quality? Like, don't get me wrong, Oda typically has really good art in One Piece. Like, the art always looks just spot on. You can see how he's perfected his style over the many years he's been writing this series. But this chapter's artwork truly surpassed a lot of the recent chapters. I think the last time the art looked this good was definitely in the Luffy versus Katakuri fight, when you saw Luffy and Katakuri going at each other. It was like at the end of the fight, and we saw how Katakuri, when he shoved Luffy into the ground, you saw his face was, you know, very, like, serious. I think the last time we saw some truly insane artwork was definitely from that chapter. And I'm not saying the chapters after that were bad, by no means. I'm just saying you really get to see the style of Oda's art and how he's able to express himself with chapters like this. When he's opening up, showcasing the ocean of this series to a new island we're about to visit. I mean, on top of Wano being a country that many of us have wanted to see for a very long time. I mean, let's be real here. For years now, for a very, very long time, so many readers of this series have been wanting to see Wano, see what it looks like, see how the island is, you know, the culture of it, and we finally are getting to see that. Oda has always had a unique art style when it comes to character designs, to backgrounds, to just designs in general. He's always been unique about this type of stuff. But I especially love how the double spreads of this chapter, when you see like the ocean and Sunny going through the ocean, or the waterfall and the carp going through the water, it looks extremely beautiful. And I don't think Oda gets complimented enough on his excellent artwork. I mean, you go back to the original chapter, like the first chapter of One Piece, and then now compare it to what we have now, you can just see how much Oda has improved over many years of writing this series. And I just want to say, shout out to you, Oda, for always improving upon yourself and just making excellent artwork, especially something like this. Definitely one of the best art styles I have seen in almost any manga. But okay, let's get into this chapter. Let's get into what this chapter was about. So this was honestly a refreshing chapter. It was kind of like a breather, but refreshing. Like, there was slight world building, but at the same time, it's more of just our characters traveling to the next island. And it's been a while. It's been quite a long while since we have seen a chapter like this. The last time we saw a chapter like this was when our characters were journeying from, you know, Dressrosa to Whole Cake Island. It's been a long time, and even then, it was kind of a rush thing. It wasn't really sightseeing or anything like that. It was mainly just getting in to get Sanji and get out. That's pretty much the entire point of it, so we didn't really have a lot of time to really sightsee and see the way the world looks. And I really like chapters like this, and I've always liked this for any arc in One Piece. When we are starting a new arc, and we see the world, we see the ocean, how the ocean's weather is very different, because that's what makes One Piece's world so unique, is because the weather patterns. The Grand Line, or the New World, always has different weather patterns, to, like, you know, lightning, rain, to, you know, just fire and ice islands. It's always had unique stuff going on throughout the different weather on different islands. And seeing Wano for the first time, seeing how, you know, the waves looked, how different they were to the clouds, to seeing how these carp are just traveling through the water, going up a waterfall, and a stream going downwards towards the waterfall, it's really unique. And I just love stuff like that. And like I said, it was a really refreshing chapter. And it was one of those chapters that you're like, this is what I know and love from One Piece. This is what I like seeing. And so, yeah, that's pretty much the entire point of the chapter, really. I mean, there was some setup for next week, obviously, but the main point of it was just a breather. Just seeing our characters journeying from one island to the next. But okay, let's talk about the octopus. Now, I want to be honest here, when I was reading this chapter for the first time, I actually did not notice the octopus. Yes, I'm going to admit that. I obviously wasn't paying attention, but when the chapter's going by, and you clearly, if you look at the chapter again, you'll notice the octopus was there, like, since the very beginning of the chapter, but when I was reading, I wasn't really looking at, you know, the octopus. I was looking at Nami, I was looking at Brook, Chopper. I wasn't really paying attention at all to the octopus until Nami noticed it, and I'm like, wait, what? Like, is that an octopus? And she mentioned something like, whoa! And when I went back to look at the chapter, the octopus was, like, there since the very beginning. I'm just like, how did I not notice that? Like, how did I not notice this octopus that was there in the background? Like, Oda, you got away with you. The way he did those panels, I don't know if it was just because I was blind, but the way he drew those panels, he did a very good job of kind of distracting the reader from noticing the octopus until he actually drawed attention to it. And I'm just like, that takes some serious quality and great writing and drawing skills to do something like that. Like I said, I could be the blind one and maybe everybody else noticed it, but I personally didn't notice it until it was pointed out. And then, once I reread the chapter, like, yeah, it's very obvious now, just like, it's crazy stuff. But okay, the octopus, though, I feel like this octopus is going to be very important. Because let's think about the history of One Piece, okay? Let's just backtrack. Normally, in a One Piece arc, there's always, like, some form of animal, creature, mascot, or whatever of an individual arc that turns out to be relatively important. And in this case, I feel like this octopus most likely is going to be relatively important to something in the future. Maybe not the in-game plot of Wano, Kaido, Big Mom, all that type of stuff, but I feel like it's going to be relatively important maybe to the entry of the country or a connection to an individual in the country. It's definitely going to be something relatively important. And for all we know, maybe that, you know, that octopus has a connection to the Kraken, for all we know. Because you remember, we know that the Kraken has a brother. That was stated in Fishman Island. So, for all we know, this octopus could be related to the Kraken in some way, a distant relative, or knows. I'm just stating what I think could potentially be going on, because after rewatching the anime and, you know, in these past few months, you know, as I've stated, I kind of now have remembered certain things, and now thinking back on it, that's definitely something One Piece would do, or what Oda-sensei would do with this octopus for it to pop up like it did. Now, also, I do want to point out, when the octopus was sitting there, it was very neutral. It didn't do anything. Like, it was actually passive. It was just sitting there, not making any noise, just sitting there watching, you know, Nami, Brook, and all of them, you know, go about doing whatever they want, talking about the information on the news and stuff, the reverie and all of that. But soon as Brook said samurai, like, Brook said samurai, you can look at the panel yourself, I'll probably have on screen, when he says samurai, then the octopus automatically starts saluting, and he makes noises, and then the carp pop up out of the ocean and start carrying the Sunny. Or, you know, just passing by the Sunny, and Luffy grabs the carp. So, for all we know, it's a possibility that samurai was a code word. You had to say samurai to do something to be able to get access to Wano. If, for instance, if you did not say that word, most likely you were going to be navigating around the weather, the island of Wano or Wano country forever, unless you decide to turn around, because most likely the way the weather conditions are, there most likely is something causing it. Most likely Wano is personally doing something with the weather. So, saying samurai was a code word, the octopus allowed them in, and it took them through the safe passage of how to get into Wano. Now, the waterfall was a whole new trial to go over, but I'm guessing, obviously, they didn't expect someone like Luffy to grab Carp and just literally go up over the waterfall, which is just absolutely insane, with the whirlpool being on top as well. But, I mean, yeah, I feel like that octopus, like I said, going to be relatively important. I don't know for what yet, but that's probably the case if you look at the track record of One Piece. Now, let's talk about the news, okay? What was on the newspaper at the beginning of the chapter? So, for the most part, it's mainly all of our characters are Straw Hats we've been seeing for a while now in Whole Cake Island. They got to see an update status of what's going on in the Reverie, you know, Shirahoshi, where she's at, Vivi, you know, Chopper got to see his mom, Doctor, and then, I mean, we got a bunch of updates. Even Wapple was in, you know, the newspaper. They got to see what was going on. They're like, you know, once we finish our journey, we'll travel around the world and all that, and we'll meet them once again. I thought that was really cool. But the way Luffy stated that, I want to be honest, Luffy, I think it's going to be a lot sooner than you think, compared to what you're saying. Like, for instance, he's like, once we finish traveling around the world, then we'll meet up with them. I feel like it's not going to take that long for them to meet up with them, because with the whole events going on in the Reverie, it's probably going to be something extremely important. Something's going to go down, like, really important. Something with Shanks or something, and it's going to cause it where Luffy's going to have to navigate course and go over to where the Reverie is at. and he's going to have to meet all the princesses and everyone once again. That's the way it's looking like to me. I feel like that was direct setup from Oda-sensei, kind of like playing with words. You know, Luffy doesn't think he's going to see them anytime soon, but most likely he will. And then also on top of that, they started cutting up the newspaper, which Chopper doing it, it's cute because, you know, he loves, you know, his mama basically. So, I mean, it makes sense why he would do something like that. But at the same time, I like how Oda did that, because even though we are aware of what is going on in the news, for instance, the Reverie, but also Big Mom and Kaido, the Straw Hats have no idea. And that's what happened, actually. If you did not notice, on the back of the newspaper, which it was stated a couple panels later that there was a story on Kaido and Big Mom, but they didn't know, they couldn't read it. But if you look at the back of the newspaper, you see Kaido and Big Mom on it. And we know what that news story is covering. It's covering the fact that those two individuals are teaming up to come after the Straw Hats, or Luffy at Wano. And so, obviously, if Luffy found out about this, he would have time to prep, to be sneaky and all that. But with them cutting up the newspaper, it adds conflict. It's drama. It's something that we can expect. Us, the readers, know is going to happen. But Luffy and his crew have no idea. They have no idea until someone, an outsider, tells them. Unless Zoro's crew, you know, where he's at right now, they tell Luffy. So that's the big thing right now, is that Luffy's crew, they have no idea that two Yonkos are coming for their head. So that's scary. But I like that. I like that deliberate setup from Oda to add conflict behind the scenes for this upcoming arc of Wano. Because remember, Big Mom and Kaido teaming up against Luffy. That's scary. We already see what Big Mom is capable of by herself. Imagine with, you know, Kaido, okay? I can't even begin to imagine how scary that's going to be. So, pretty excited for that. I truly do love the setup that Oda did with that scene. Now, we also have Luffy separated from the crew. He's with the Sunny, and you see a bunch of random creatures that are on the island. Now, we don't really know if this is officially Wano. It's not directly stated. Now, you could assume it is because of the way the creatures look. It looks like ancient, you know, drawings and all that. Like you would see, like, you know, certain designs of mythological creatures. That's what it looks like to me. And so, most likely, Luffy is on Wano, or maybe a sub-island of Wano, or whatever. Or, like, you know how this is Wano country? For all we know, there could be multiple islands around the main central hub of Wano, and maybe Luffy's on a little island or something, for all we know. But it's very apparent he's close by, and I want to take a moment to point out that baboon that popped up in this chapter with the sword, that's very similar to the baboons that Zoro was fighting with Mihawk. You remember when Zoro was doing his training in the time skip, and he was with Mihawk, and then the baboons or whatever, they had, you know, swordsmanship skills? I feel like maybe their origin, where they come from, might be from Wano. Or maybe they incorporated them into this country to be able to have someone to spar with. I don't know, but I feel like that's a reference. There's definitely a correlation between those baboons, or the baboon that Luffy met, and the baboon that Zoro, or Baboon Zoro, fought in the time skip. Like I said, connection. There's just no way when you see, you know, this monkey holding a sword, and then you see how Zoro's fighting monkeys with swords. There's no way. But that's about it when it comes to this chapter. Like I said, it's a very refreshing, simple chapter, but it's enjoyable, and I like chapters like this. We don't need action and crazy stuff going down every chapter, because it wouldn't be that good of a series. And because when we do get action, crazy stuff going down, we really appreciate it. For instance, what happened in the last chapter, the previous chapter, and that, we've had consistent, crazy revelations. So, I'm fine with this type of chapter. It's personally something I need every so often, and this felt like a true One Piece chapter, so I'm fine with it. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below, how you felt about this week's chapter. Did you enjoy it? Did you hate it? Please be honest in the comments below. And if you enjoy my content, you know, please subscribe. If you like this video, please leave a like. And if you want to get notified for whenever I upload a video, please click the bell icon down below, because for some reason, even if you subscribe, you don't always get notified for when a video is uploaded. So if you want to get notified, like I said, hit the bell icon. With that, I love you guys. Have a wonderful day or night wherever you live. Chibi out.